Right, let's talk about learning how to understand tab. All tab is just a graphical representation of your fretboard. So that's all it means is it's a picture of the neck of your guitar. There'll be some lines on there, which means that's the string. Then there'll be some numbers on there, and all that means is you push that string down in that particular fret. So first, let's take a little step back and have a look at the strings on your guitar going from top to bottom. Now on the top is your thickest string, the E string. That's string 6. Then it goes A, D, G, B, and E. Now I've drawn a little E here to signify the smaller E string, the higher note. Okay, so what you can do is actually come up with a little saying that makes this easier to remember. One of the sayings that I use is, every animal digs graves behind elephants. It doesn't have to make sense. The only thing that matters is that it helps you remember which way round the strings are. Now when it comes to tab, when it comes to guitar music, tab is just a shortened word or shortened phrase for tablature. Okay, so that's all that means. Now on tab, it goes the other way round. So on top, you'll see that small E, then B, G, D, A, then E. Now, the high E, the high note on your guitar is here, but the high E on your guitar tab, your music for guitar, is here. So once you remember that, the rest is fairly simple, okay? So you just have to remember that they're upside down to each other. Right, so let's have a look, see what tab looks like, and try and get some explanation as to what these numbers on these lines mean. So when you're looking at your tab, again, like we've said, you'll have your little E at top, B, G, D, A, and E. Then you'll have lines running from each of these letters. Now, what these lines mean is that's the string that they're talking about, okay? So you've got 6 lines here, you've got 6 strings on the guitar. So the top one on tab is going to be the lowest one, but not the lowest note. It's going to be on the bottom, okay? So high E, low E. Just keep remembering that, all right? Now, if you see a number on one of these lines, all that means is that you're specifically playing that particular string. So if you see a 1 or a 2, that just means we're playing the high E in fret 1 or fret 2. If you see a 0, all you do is you play that string open. So in this example, all we're doing, we're forgetting the rest of the strings. The other 5 strings we're not touching because there's nothing on there. We're playing fret 1, then fret 2, then playing the string open. So what do I mean by playing the string open? Well, let's just get the guitar and show you. What you can do is fret 1, fret 2, and then 0 means you don't actually use your fret hand at all, you just play the string open. So this passage of play looks like that and sounds like this. It's not meant to sound good, by the way, it's just explaining how tab works. Right, so that is looking at individual notes on an individual string. But what if we're looking at more than one note at the same time. Well, when you see the individual notes like you just seen them, that means you play one note at a time. If the numbers are stacked one on top of another, what that means is you have to play more than one string at any one time. And a good place to start is just looking at chords. So let's start at the beginning of the alphabet. Let's play A. So for A, you're going to see 0, 2, 2, 2, 0. And sometimes you'll see an X. Now sometimes you'll see the X, sometimes you won't see the X. If you see the X when it comes to basic tab, it just means don't play the string. Later on, when you get more in depth into tab, it means a different thing, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Literally, all this means now is instead of playing one string and then moving on to the next note, you're playing all of these at the same time because they are stacked one on top of the other. So this is the A major chord. Again, make sure you're playing, if you get lost or if you get overwhelmed by it, oh there's loads of numbers there now, just take it one at a time. Trace them back to see what string you're playing and then just place the fingers accordingly. Like I said, this is the A major, so it sounds like this. And we don't play that low E, okay? Right, let's have a quick look at a different chord. Now, what we're going to do now is we're going to play something that looks very, very similar. So if we do this, and we do that, again, X, 0, 2, 2, this is the only one that's different. But A major, the first chord, sounds look like this. The second one, so this one's A major, the second one is A minor. Now, there's a massive sound difference to them, but there's only one different number. Why am I showing you this? It's literally to just make sure that you take your time, don't rush, make sure that each one is correct. Otherwise, chances are you're going to make a simple mistake, you're going to take a quick look at that, and you go, oh, I've seen this before, and play this. So just take your time, it's not a race, make sure that it sounds good, and always trust your ears. If you're listening to what's going on all the time, then chances are the guitar will tell you when you're making a mistake. If you're expecting to hear A major, and you hear this, the guitar will tell you when you're doing something wrong. Okay? So let's have a look at something else. Now, this one, two, 2, 1, 2, 2, 1. This one looks very similar, the third one looks very similar to the second one, but these are on different strings. So the third chord that we're looking at is an E major. Now you can see here that there's a 0, 0, 1, 2, 2 and a 0. So this time we're actually playing all 6 strings. So this one sounds like this. So the first chord, A major. Second one, A minor. Third one, E major. Let's do one last one. This one's going to be this one has got 2 X's. So this last one is D major. This time, don't hit your E or your A. So in this one, we're only playing strings 1, 2, 3 and 4, the E, B, G and the open D. Now, we'll quickly go over something called root notes. The root notes you could think of the roots on a tree are at the lowest point of the tree. So the root note is the lowest note of the chord. So in this case, for the first chord, this is A major. This is the lowest note that we're playing, and it's the A note. This is A minor, but it has the same root note. It's an A. This one is E major, and it has the root note on the open E string, so it's an E note. This one is D major. We don't play the A or the E, so we're looking at an open D. Now in each case, for basic chords, if you're A major or A minor, your root note's still going to be A. So when we're looking at more advanced chords, things can change, but don't worry about that for now. Let's just get the basics sorted. So our root note is the lowest note that we play in each chord. How do we write them out? Well, the first one is A major, and you just put an A over that. The second one is A minor. So we put an A and then a small m. Okay? Now the word major and the word minor both start with the letter M. If you see the letter M following the chord, that means it's a minor chord. If you don't see the letter M, it defaults to a major. So the major chord doesn't have the M on there. Okay? This one is E major, so we'll put the E there. We're not going to put the M, so it'll default to a major chord. And this one is D. Okay? So that is, going back to the start of the video, that is single notes on a single string. This is how to read chords. So if I was going to play that, it would sound and look like this. A minor, E major, and D major. Okay, so we've looked at single notes on single strings. We've looked at chords where we're using possibly all 6 strings at the same time. But what if we've only got 1 or 2 numbers stacked on top of each other? Well, very much the same way as if you see one number, you play the single string. If you see multiples, you play multiple strings. If you only see 2 or 3, you only play 2 or 3. You only play what they're asking you to play. It's as simple as that. So if we did something working, say, like this. Now we're exclusively working on the G and the D string, so this one would possibly sound something like this. Perhaps you figured out what it is yet. And then we could do and play from the start. And for those of you that don't know that riff, shame on you for one, but that's a famous riff by Deep Purple, and it's possibly one of the number one riff that everybody learns how to play when they're learning how to play guitar. So it literally just means, and you're moving, if you imagine, you're moving across the tab like this. So the first ones you hit will be the 0, then the 3, then the 5, and so on and so forth until you play all the way across the tab sheet. And then you just move to the next line and play that one. So hopefully I've covered everything basic with tabs for now, so you have a better understanding and you can move forward. Good luck.